one of the most famous fighters of his generation, fighting in one of the famous stadiums in the world. Can you imagine being AJ right now? A lot of pressure too, though. Don't get it twisted. You've got to perform in front of 96,000 of your closest friends.
But mamma mia, Rosie, a social media sensation turned boxer, has turned the sport on its ear. This is incredible. And what must be going through this 27-year-old's mind, like so many members of his generation, dealing with mental health issues. Here we go!
Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua has started a huge debate among boxing experts. Most think Joshua would easily control the fight because of his size, power, and years of elite heavyweight experience. His Olympic success and KO record give him a major advantage. Jake Paul has improved by beating MMA fighters and low-level boxers, but he has never faced a top heavyweight. Experts say Paul's only chance is landing an early surprise punch, but Joshua's jab and discipline would likely shut that down. Many expect Joshua to win by
a few times on it. I mean, there's nothing to report to you that it's close, or there's a lot of hoops to jump through. Of course, AJ is exclusive to DAZN. We also work very closely with His Excellency, and although we have no contract with him, we're in talks for big fights next year. Of course, Tyson Fury being one of them. So we'd definitely give him the respect of making sure that he was aware of the plan and part of that plan as well. But at the moment, there's nothing major to report on that. Would we take the fight? Absolutely. I think Jake would be. I mean, my estimations of Jake Paul would go through the roof if he signed to fight Anthony Joshua, because I just can't believe in my mind that he would do something like that. I mean, Gervonta was a smart one because of his size. I think actually he would have had a lot of success against Jake Paul, but the size is a problem. But this would just be, like if Jake Paul was to take the fight with AJ, you'd really have to maybe carry his balls in a wheelbarrow on the ring walk, because AJ wouldn't mess around in there, so it would be huge, but nothing to tell you it's close.
Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua is officially set for December 19th, 2025, at the Casa Center in Miami, and it will stream worldwide on Netflix. This is not an exhibition. It is a fully sanctioned heavyweight fight under Queensberry rules, 8 rounds, 3 minutes each with tennis gloves. To make the matchup seem more fair, Joshua agreed to a 245 lb weight limit, which is lighter than usual for him. With both fighters' records on the line, this is a high...
Jake Paul will face the two-time unified heavyweight world champion Anthony Joshua on Friday, December the 19th in Miami, Florida. It's going to be an 8-round fight with 3-minute rounds and 10-ounce gloves. It's Joshua's first fight since being knocked out by Daniel Dubois in September last year. Jake Paul won a unanimous decision against veteran Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. earlier this year. Well, Jake Paul said this: a professional heavyweight fight against an elite world champion in his prime. When I beat Anthony Joshua, every doubt disappears and no one can deny me the opportunity to fight for a world title. To all my haters, this is what you wanted. To the people of the...
Many boxing fans and people in the sport have shared strong views about Jake Paul calling out Anthony Joshua. A lot of them believe Paul's goal...
The real deal respond to me as I tweeted my thoughts about delusion, which again, I think is more about what Jake said about Anthony Joshua and what he'll do to him. That was the more delusional aspect of this. Amanda Serrano said, at Jake Paul is the truth. Funny, they say he's a fraud for wanting easy fights. Then he asked for the toughest fights ever and they say he's nuts. Listen, he was scheduled to fight Canelo, Gervonta, and now he's calling out Joshua. Come on, who else is doing this? Oh, crap, on second thought, he is out of his freaking mind. You're right. That was more of just Amanda backing her guy, you know what I'm saying, the co-founder of MVP.
Dave Allen strongly warns that Anthony Joshua could harm his reputation by accepting a fight with Jake Paul. He says that even if Paul lands one solid punch, it could hurt everything Joshua has achieved. Allen believes this matchup is more entertainment than true boxing and doubts Joshua would want to take such a risk.
Lost to Tommy Fury. You can't. Anthony Joshua cannot box Jake Paul. Horrific. He's dangerous for one, and two, if Jake Paul even lands a glove on him, it just diminishes everything that he's achieved. Jake Paul won't last 2 minutes for me. Never mind Anthony Joshua. It's ridiculous. It's a joke.
If AJ does say yes to going in against Jake Paul, does he harm his legacy?
I would lose a bit of respect for him. I think a lot of boxing people would as well, to be honest. Why would he box him? 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, one of the best heavyweights the last 20 years, held British boxing on his back. People might say he deserves to box Jake Paul. But why though? Why would he do it?
Did you lose respect for him when he fought in Ngannou? Did you lose respect for Fury when he fought in Ngannou?
Ngannou's a serious fighting man. World champion of the mixed martial arts.
It's a worrying thing, potentially, the damage that AJ could do to Jake Paul.
He'll hurt him. Yeah, Jake Paul is a cruiserweight. You wouldn't put the Midlands area cruiserweight champion in with Anthony Joshua. So why would you put Jake Paul in there? Just because he's a superstar, whatever. I don't know what he does. What does he do? What is he?
A YouTuber.
It's just not worth it. He's got enough money as it is. Why risk all that for a few more quid? I don't like it.
Because this fight is expected to be a real, sanctioned bout and not an exhibition. Roy Jones Jr. has dismissed the idea of Jake Paul becoming a real world champion. He does not believe Paul can win an important title. Jones says Paul has avoided truly tested fighters, and if he steps up against experienced boxers, they will beat him. He admits Paul might get a title shot one day, but only under very easy conditions.
I'm a world champion.
No.
Why?
I think if they make him fight tough opponents, guys with experience, those guys will beat him. Now, if you catch somebody like myself at the end of their career, or somebody like Tyson, he caught at the end of their career, the chances are much higher. Because now it becomes more of a 50-50. You got a guy who's better than him, but the age factor. You understand me? And that's the only way to balance it for him to make it a 50-50 fight. Somebody who's on his level at the same age, those guys have too much experience. You understand me? So he's not going to beat those guys. But you find a guy who is past his prime, who has a mentality further than his, but...
Anthony Joshua's promoter. Eddie Hearn has spoken out against Jake Paul's skill level, calling him an average boxer. Hearn keeps questioning whether Paul has the ability to compete with top fighters, especially someone like Joshua. He says Paul has improved, but he is still nowhere near the level needed to face world.
Yes, I know these guys. They're unbelievably bright. I mean, Logan, much brighter than Jake, in my opinion. But Jake's smart. Okay. You know, content creator. You know, I mean, we have our ups and downs.
Yeah.
Like, I respect Jake. I actually respect him in a boxing sense as well. But we fell out because I told him he was average. That's actually a compliment. Like, to be an average fighter, coming to this kid who's 26, 27, decides to go into boxing. We had a conversation where he's actually telling me he's going to beat Canelo Alvarez. And I'm looking around for cameras. I'm thinking, am I right?
Eddie Hearn also pointed out Jake Paul's big claims, including saying he could beat Canelo Alvarez. Hearn says this is crazy and believes Paul is hugely overrating himself. Even though Paul has beaten former MMA fighters and inexperienced boxers.
Well then, it looks like Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul might be in discussions to fight. They were both on a call to each other earlier, and the viral video went round of Jake Paul saying he would knock out Anthony Joshua. If I'm being completely honest, I think Jake Paul would actually be lucky to make it out alive, and I'm actually being dead serious. I think Jake Paul would be lucky to make it out of the ring with Anthony Joshua alive. Tyron Woodley literally had Jake Paul on skates and had Jake Paul panicking for his life. Imagine what Anthony Joshua would do. Look at what Joshua did to the last non-boxer he fought in France, Ngannou. That is not going to end well for Jake Paul. But look, let's be real here. This fight should never happen. It's an absolute disgrace to the sport if it does. And yeah, there's got to be a lot of backlash if this actually happens, because it's actually probably worse to the sport of boxing than what Fury in Ngannou was when it came around, or or Mayweather McGregor.
Simon Jordan, a former Crystal Palace owner and loud boxing commentator, has issued a harsh warning to Jake Paul about fighting Anthony Joshua. Jordan says the fight is an insult to boxing, claiming Paul does not have the skill or credibility to face a heavyweight star like Joshua. He says the matchup damages the sport's reputation and shows what is wrong with modern boxing. Jordan believes Joshua would destroy Paul easily. He also says the fight is risky for Paul and harms Joshua's fight.
Player welfare. He is in a situation where someone's welfare should be considered in the equation, not his financial welfare. But Jake Paul going into a fight with Anthony Joshua, to me, is absurd. I mean, Anthony Joshua is a legitimate two-time heavyweight champion of the world. He may have got destroyed by Daniel Dubois, but notwithstanding, there's nothing physically wrong with Anthony Joshua that he can't execute. Mentally, he might be in a little bit of a difficult position after the loss to Daniel Dubois. Jake Paul, if this is not going to be, curated into a little dance around exhibition, could find himself in a way of getting seriously hurt here, like Francis Ngannou did. Francis Ngannou was an MMA fighter that got blasted out by Anthony Joshua. A fitter, more focused Anthony Joshua than the version that we've got now, possibly. But this, to me, is everything that's wrong with boxing. It's a money play, nothing wrong. I don't begrudge Anthony Joshua getting 50 million quid for an easy night's work. That's fantastic returns. Most people would take it. But from the boxing world, Jake Paul is now a professional fighter. Whether we categorise him as a YouTuber or not, he's licensed to fight, which means that the governing body should be suggesting that this is not a fight that possibly they should be looking to sanction.
Yeah.
But they will, because the sanctioning fees will be enormous. Anthony Joshua will not lose his legacy like some people are suggesting, because no one will remember it in 2 or 3 years' time. If he embarrasses himself in there, they'll remember it. If he goes in and knocks him out in 30 seconds flat, or turns it into a little bit more of a sort of Jake LaMotta raging bull, holding him up for a few rounds and then knocking him out, then people will forgive it. He'll get a big bag of money, which most people in the world would take, and move on. And then we'll see if he fights anybody meaningful in the year. I mean, it is like sport has become. And what I got my head around on Saturday night was the entertainment value of Conor Benn and Chris Eubank. The fighting of itself, I could be all pious about it, but the entertainment industry is so prevalent in sport now. This is entertainment. This is going to have hundreds of millions of people watching it. Of course. And Anthony Joshua gets paid, and Jake Paul hopefully gets flattened.
Simon, I know the money's there, but does ultimately boxing get damaged?
Well, I think so. But I think boxing damages itself left, right, and centre. But I think the reputability and the credibility of some of these boxing sanctioning bodies is poor anyway. But I think it does get damaged.
Even if it's an exhibition fight, which it might well be.
Well, then what's the jeopardy in that? If it's an exhibition fight, which it shouldn't be, if it's a proper fight, then Jake Paul is going to get...
Is going to get destroyed, David Benavidez says. Jake Paul is one of the biggest names in boxing when it comes to selling fights and creating hype. While many hardcore fans dislike Paul's ability,
what are you looking forward to the most tonight at Bare Knuckle?
Honestly, it's my first time being at a Bare Knuckle fight, and it's already started amazing, and I'm just here to come to see the gore, the blood, and all that, so it's been living up to the hype.
I want to ask you about Jake Paul wanting to fight Anthony Joshua. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a good fight. If they can make it happen, then let's do it, you know what I mean? Jake Paul is a big household name. Anthony Joshua, needless to say, he's one of the greatest champions of boxing, so if they can get it done, that'll be a huge fight for boxing, and I said let's do it.
You were in the talks to fight the ball. What are your thoughts on that? Is it in the works? So when is it happening?
So right now we're trying to negotiate the fight. It might be in the works for September, but we don't know. You know, everything in boxing is not 100%, so we're just going to keep trying to negotiate the fight, and if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But
veteran heavyweight Derek Chisora has strongly attacked the idea of Jake Paul receiving a WBC ranking, calling it disrespectful to boxing. Chisora says real fighters spend years climbing the rankings, while Paul, who fights older or unranked opponents, would be moved up only because of fame. He accused WBC president Mauricio Suleiman of choosing money over honesty, calling it a disgrace.
They said they're going to give a cruiserweight ranking to the winner of this fight. Do you think they deserve one?
I don't think so. I don't know why. It's hard enough for real athletes, for real boxers, to gain those rankings, and then suddenly this Solomon Tuesday decides to give double ranking because he's getting some greens in his back pocket. No,
Lawrence Okolie has shown serious concern about Jake Paul fighting Anthony Joshua, warning that it could be very dangerous. Okolie sparred with Paul before and praised his attitude, but he now says facing Joshua with his elite power and skill would be a huge mismatch. Many boxing pros agree. Eddie Hearn said the fight is dangerous. Very dangerous, Frank Warren said. Joshua's size makes it risky. And Amir Khan warned that Paul...
On this nonsense?
Where am I? I can't see it happening. I can't. Although, yes, lots of money, so on and so forth. I can't see it. I just can't. It just, obviously, as someone who's been a unified heavyweight world champion going in against Jake Paul, it doesn't
Doesn't sit
It
right,
doesn't.
right?
Yeah, and it's
Doesn't
like
sit right.
I'm also talking from a health and safety factor. It's like he's maybe a cruiserweight.
Yeah.
Anthony Joshua's a very big, strong heavyweight, and if he turns it on, it's not just a risk of a knockout. It's a much bigger risk. So I can't see it personally.
Former world champion. Carl Froch does not take Jake Paul seriously as a boxer. Froch says Paul does not know how to box properly and just moves around without real skill. After watching Paul's fight against Tommy Fury, Froch called it a mismatch.
Jake Paul, that serious. He can't really box. He can have a little fight, he can have a swing. He swings away, stands up straight, and he throws punches, but it's not professional boxing. Because when I watch him box, he does so much wrong. It's just everything's wrong. It's so bad. He's got leaky defence. He telegraphs his punches. Like, you put him in with someone his own size, it was a professional, and it's a mismatch. And you'll see that if he ends up fighting somebody. Tommy Fury, bless him, he's a pro boxer, but he's inexperienced. He's got no amateur pedigree. He's a raw novice, or maybe just above the raw novice. I was saying earlier, where would I put him in terms of levels? He'd do well to win a British title. He's at that sort of level. And then from British title to world level, it's like different worlds. It's like totally different.
MMA fighter Darren Till has also spoken out, calling Jake Paul's challenge to Anthony Joshua disrespectful. He says Paul, even with strong marketing skills, has not earned the right to challenge one of boxing's biggest stars. Many in the sport feel Paul is far above his level. Paul also said Joshua has no chin and has no skill, which angered many fans because of Joshua's big wins and fights against top boxers like Klitschko and Usyk. Many think Paul is...
Is it all just... Does he actually believe that he can beat Anthony Joshua? Is it all for clout? Is it all just to keep his... I don't know. I mean, fucking... It's a little bit disrespectful as well. Like, Anthony Joshua hasn't fucking been a heavyweight world champion, beating all these absolute killers just to get called out by Jake Paul. But look, if Jake Paul believes in himself, then, you know, you can't really fault that. Like, obviously, but sometimes it comes across as a bit delusion as well. Because I know for a fact that I'd fight Jake, I'd beat him up easy. Not easy.
Some people believe the Joshua versus Paul fight harms boxing's reputation. They see it as another example of celebrity and crossover fights that turn the sport into entertainment instead of real athletic competition. They argue that allowing these money-driven mismatches with social media stars weakens boxing's purpose. Instead of testing elite fighters, these matches focus on hype. And many
hopefully gets flattened.
Simon, I know the money's there, but does ultimately boxing get damaged?
Well, I think so. But I think boxing damages itself left, right and centre. But I think the reputability and the credibility of some of these boxing sanctioning bodies is poor anyway. But I think it does get damaged.
Even if it's an exhibition fight, which it might well be.
Well, then what's the jeopardy in that? If it's an exhibition fight, which it shouldn't be, if it's a proper fight, then Jake Paul is going